You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the earliest things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your family, because your family, you're just kind of the black sheep, probably the family. But get them on your good side, refer them to the show. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity, and I hope you get invited to this Thanksgiving year's family dinner, unlike the last few years where you've been disinvited. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, guys, it might be me. We have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking to him about a lot of different things that he does. Joshua Kraftchick is on the show with us today, and he does a variety of things we're going to get into. He grew up in a divorced family where money was always a bit of an issue. He went to Florida State to study actuarial science because who doesn't love calculating risk for fun? And the chicks love it, too. The chicks just, you bring out that calculator, they throw themselves at you. He ended up in a world of financial advising and realized finance was mostly a bunch of salespeople. And he became a top performer at a large financial institution and then walked away. He sold his house, his Rolex, and pretty much everything he owned to start his own company, 369 Financial. When he's not playing with numbers, you can see him on the golf course. Back in 2016, a friend told him that his swing looked like that of a bastard child of Charles Barkley's golf swing, which is pretty awful from what I hear. Yeah. He even received a patent for his golf product, Don't Have a Stroke. That's probably good to have. Is it a defibrillator? Anyway, he used to DJ, and now he's married happily with a 16-month-old daughter, and he says that parenting is like being a DJ. The crowd never leaves, and he hasn't figured out what track to get her to nap. You just play Metallica for her. That works every time for me.
Enter Sandman.
Enter Sandman. I can go to sleep to that. So everyone called him DJ Chachi back in the day. I'm not sure if that's a good reference or a bad reference. I don't know. There's Scott Baio jokes. What can I say? Anyway, people like
love him or hate him.
Who's Scott Baio, mommy? Gen Xers, you can Google it. So Joshua, welcome to the show. How are you?
Amazing. Happy to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, and I forgot to mention, too, you're the author of 3 children's books, The Panini Princess, which now has me hungry. I'm going to have to take a break for food here. Penny the Bunny, which I'm also now hungry. I live in Ohio, evidently. And The Boy Who Picked Up a Penny. So you can check out those books on the Amazon as well. So give us a 30,000 overview of what you do there at all the stuff you're doing, actually, Joshua.
I mean, the mission, Chris, is to educate people on the best ways to grow their wealth. So the inspiration of the children's books is everyone's complaining. No one teaches this stuff in school. And we come out of school and we have a bunch of student debt and we don't know what to do. And we don't know how to invest. We don't know how to sign up for anything. So I decided if there's a problem, let me create a solution rather than just be the person wishing someone would do something. That was the inspiration behind the books. The Boy Who Picked Up the Penny teaches the kids about coins. The Panini Princess is a story about a young girl who makes paninis and decides to be an entrepreneur. And then Penny the Bunny is a bunny that turned her birthday money into something funny.
Oh, wow. You know, the panini thing, I had a great panini last night. We were out at a big bar dog park thing and combined, and what else was there? There's that new fake tennis. What is that?
Pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah. I think isn't that tennis for LGBTQ people? I don't know what that means. Anyway, I'm just teasing, folks. We're just doing jokes. You can be a straight man and do pickleball. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I played a few times. It's fun.
Is it fun?
It is fun. It's tennis with less movement.
That's probably why people like it, because tennis, you can work up a sweat like within seconds.
It reminds me of the folks that used to move to Florida with the black socks and sandals playing shuffleboard.
Hey, don't.
But it's a little bit more active now.
Yeah, don't shame people who wear black socks and flip flops, because that's me.
Oh, it's a style now, man. It's stylish.
Is it a style now?
Yeah.
So you've done author work. You have your website, the 360 Financial, and then I notice you have a lot of different accounts online, where social media accounts where you're trying to help people. You're doing the advisory thing that people do. Do you want to plug any of those sites? Tell us how that's working for you.
Yeah, just search Joshua Kraftchick on your favorite social media platform. I'm the only one, so I will show up at the top of your search.
That's
so
got to be good. I
guess it's kind of cool to have a unique last name, especially in the day of search. If you want people to find you, that's the thing.
If you want people to find you, there's a lot of people that tell me they're like, I don't want to be found. I want to go off grid. I'm like, good luck with that at this point. I mean, if you really want to go off grid, you have to be like born, and then just like everything gets erased from there and from there on out. I don't think you can go off the grid now the way it is. So what you guys do is you guys do tailored financial solutions for family-oriented growth mindset professionals who like to give back. It sounds like giving back and charity and stuff like that. You're looking for kind of a specific set of investors?
Totally. I was listening to Mr. Schwarzenegger, also a very unique last name. People use a lot of like Schwarzenegger. That couldn't be a beating name. And one thing he always said was, just always give back. And I wanted that same value inside a financial firm, because a lot of financial institutions are putting profits ahead of people versus putting people ahead of the profits and doing the right thing. Because if you do the right thing and you invest well and you're able to help others obtain wealth, I believe I will then be rewarded in the run. And that's the hard part, is sticking to the long game in a short game. That's the struggle.
Okay. Hey, Josh, we have your internet breaking up really badly and you're pixelating. I don't know if there's anything going on in your background, anything you can turn off, maybe phones, computers, some sort of thing.
That's right.
We lost that whole garbled thing that you just said.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still pixelated if you can tell on your end.
No, I didn't pixelate at all on this end.
Yeah, it's getting a good feed locally, but when it's broadcasting, I think your audio is kind of improved. So let's move forward.
Maybe it's because I'm off the grid.
Yeah, that's probably. Are you in Montana in a cabin?
Could be.
Right now. What was that thing the Unabomber had?
Manifesto.
I just know that if I ever want to know if I ever go crazy, I'm probably writing a manifesto, and that will be my sign. You should probably get help. So do you guys work with accredited investors only? Do you have a fund? How does that all work?
Right now we have a strict no jerk policy. That's my barrier to entry. Because I want to help people regardless of how much money they have, as long as they see value in what we do. And they're a good person and they can use a computer. That's my barrier to entry. I mean, I met with someone who had $4.5 million and they were a jerk. So I told them, I don't have time for this. I'm sorry. Life's too short to deal with you sort of folks.
True. Life is too short. I have a no jerk policy when I watch OnlyFans, so I don't know what that means. Anyway, and so do you guys have a fund set up, or how do you appropriate the money that your investors want to seek?
So it depends on when you enter our ecosystem. So our goal is to place capital in the best places possible, depending on where the markets are. Right now, the market's pretty high. So the way that we would place money today is much different than what we do in 2022, when the markets were decimated, when interest rates rose so fast. And we basically took advantage of that, because when there's blood in the streets, it makes my job pretty easy. Most people don't want to invest during those times, versus me, when everything is at a discount. That's when I get really excited, and you can essentially buy a $100 shirt for 50 cents on the dollar. And I love good deals in the markets, whether it's stocks, socks, whatever it is.
And it sounds like you do investment management, wealth management, 401k rollovers, tax planning, and fiduciary financial planning.
Yeah, anything that has to do with building wealth, I can do. And if I don't know the answer, I have someone in my ecosystem that knows the answer. Financial
coaching and retirement planning you do as well. What do you find most people are coming to you nowadays are struggling with? Most investors. What is kind of like their top sort of complaints?
There's typically two kinds of people. You have some people who have a good amount of money, but they have a poor money mindset, meaning they still think they're the person who doesn't have a lot of money and they don't know how to allocate it or how to invest it or what to do to it, or they're scared to lose it. Versus some people some people that I work with, like a young lady today, she's starting to make the most money she's ever had and she has a spending problem. So we have to really figure out what's going on inside someone's mind and remove those mind knots to help them understand where to place money for their future, not just live in the present, or not just think who they were in the past defines who they are in the present.
Oh, yes. History defines character, and what is the old saying? Character is destiny. Your history is destiny, usually, too. The one thing man can learn from his history is that man never learns from his history. Thereby we go round and round. So you work with your clients in the different venues or fields that they need to. Is spending, a big problem for people, managing and being in control of their finances? Some people are just, they're just out of control.
Oh, for sure. I mean, people are impulse spenders, especially if they don't come from money and they start getting money. They want to start buying all the things that they couldn't afford because, hey, you have some money and you've always wanted to buy a nice car, a nice house, nice jewelry, anything that you wanted. Now you have that money. You want to reward yourself versus figuring out where to put money to obtain assets to give you the money so that you can buy those nice things and delaying that gratification. And sometimes you have to look in that financial mirror and really look at yourself and figure out like, hey, why did I buy this? What was the possible negative or positive ramifications of doing this, and etc. And then figuring out how to live your best rich life. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. I believe everyone wants to be rich, but most people aren't willing to do what it takes to become rich.
You mean I can't just keep buying rims and cars that are upside down? And I watch a lot on TikTok. I watch a lot of people who are upside down on cars videos, and they're trying to trade them in or get out of them. And like some of the financial decisions you see people making, especially in the Gen Z era, it's quite extraordinary to watch. $1,500 to $2,000 car payments. I've been seeing these things where they do loans for pretty much 20 to 30-year mortgages terms. It's like crazy when I see on
yeah,
TikTok.
20% car notes.
Yeah, I saw one that was 29.99% for like 30 months, which is basically a 20-year mortgage. And it was like some astronomical figure, like $2,000 a month or something. I posted on Facebook the other day. I was like, mother of God. And then when you amortize it out, it's like almost a $200,000 car. And they're selling these used pieces of crap. And I know what they're doing. They're just turning them over in. Anyway, this is why financial planning is important, right? You gotta, I'm just like, for that much money, why don't you just buy a shit box and, fix it up? You can buy a shitbox car and just, I don't know, make it a little nicer. But,
yeah, it reminds me of, you ever watch the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Dennis was talking to Danny DeVito's character. He's like, yeah, I rent all my furniture. I just pay the interest on it. And he goes, wait, you just pay the interest on it? He goes, yeah, it's only $20 a month. And he goes, whoa. So you're telling me you haven't paid down any of the principal? He's like, no, I just pay 20, like whatever amount a month. He goes, you realize what you're doing, right? He's like, no. And Danny DeVito breaks it down for him, attempting to explain how just paying the interest doesn't actually mean you're making progress.
Yeah. I used to get that a lot. I'd meet people and they're like, I own a home. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, I just bought it last year. And I'm like, oh, so you probably have about $16 going to principal. You don't really own a home. And if you don't believe me, miss a couple payments, sign up, see what happens. You'll find out how much you own there, buddy. But, it's funny. I've seen just sheer recklessness of what people are doing in the marketplace. When I had a mortgage company, I would, and the local values were soaring. They would come back and refinance every 3 years. And I'd pay off $30,000 to $50,000 worth of credit card debt for them. And I'd be like, don't run these up again. You paid them down. Don't run them up. Sure enough, they'd be back 2-3 years later, fully stacked again. Hey, Chris, can we do that again? And then eventually the market quit appreciating and then they were all looking at bankruptcy. So it's a pretty crazy ride.
Yeah, I mean, real estate has created the most millionaires in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's also forced the most bankruptcies.
Yeah, sounds like my first 10 marriages. So tell us about how you grew up. How did you get into this business? What excited you? We talked a little bit about your bio, but tell us from your thing. What were some of your influences? Why do you feel you really enjoy the math and working with numbers and stuff?
Just like anything growing up, you have certain things that you just are naturally good at.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're just naturally good at something, that's only going to take you so far. So you really got to work at it. And I hated English so much. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to be great at math, and I'm going to let that carry me throughout life. And I just focused on that. Yeah. I mean, they're giving us these books to read. I was like, I don't want to read this book.
I already know how to talk. What do I need English for?
Yeah. And my handwriting was terrible. I remember in 3rd grade, I wrote an entire essay. My teacher gave it to me, and she's like, Josh, this is not legible. You can't even read it. And she handed it to me, and I read her back the whole thing.
Oh.
And she's like, you can get out of the room and rewrite the whole thing so it's legible. And fast forward here, 2024, I mean, we just type everything now.
Yeah.
I was going through my old belongings, and in 3rd grade, I wrote, one day we'll be able to do everything on a computer and just hit enter, and our homework will be submitted.
You know, now you can do voice, so you can just voice transcribe everything. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in buying Grammarly, and it tells anything I write. It's just, hey, stupid, you're doing it wrong. Here's how you do it. And then when I write it, people are like, my God, he's fucking the Jason Bourne of Churchill.
Yeah, there's actually this other extension you can use called Magical.
Magical, wow.
So Magical is essentially you create these hotkeys. So if you type out the same thing a lot, rather than keeping it in a document on like Google or on Word and like copying and pasting it, you put it into Magical, and you can do like Chris Voss Show @ and then it'll just upload the whole thing, and then you can put in fillers into it, like first name, or change things up for like different shows. And ultimately, that's why what I focused on is how do I save as much time as possible so I could focus on things within business, because the faster you can do something and more efficiently and do it well, the more you can accomplish. And I mean, that's what I learned from growing up in a divorced family, where I had literally one parent who looked at me as an asset, and the other parent looked at me as a liability. My relationship with money growing up was not good. Not good at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. I've never heard anybody portray that. That is.
I mean, I got an Excel spreadsheet to the exact penny of how much money was spent on me.
You know, there's a comedian. I was one of the Wayans family people, and he used to do this joke that he said, you know, I keep receipts of every dollar I spend on my kids from birth till when they graduate 18, and when they graduate 18, I'm going to hand them a bill.
That's how you run up a big therapy bill.
Yeah. Therapy's key to, you know, I believe it's your job as a parent to scar your kids with something so that they spend half their life in a whatchamacallit. What else have we covered about some of the things you do there on the website?
I mean, what really separates myself is giving people an outside the box perspective on things, because it's really hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame, especially when it comes with finances. So, for example, I'm working with a gentleman right now who just bought a really expensive house in California, and his mortgage payment is the largest it's ever been. And he's like, I need help navigating this thing. So essentially, he told me what he has, and I used all of my knowledge to create a custom game plan on how he could save $800,000 in interest on his mortgage.
Wow. That's pretty darn good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't presented it to him yet. I just worked on it today. That's literally a case I'm working on right now. But whether it's $800,000 or $80,000, which saving $80,000 on a house nowadays wouldn't be too hard to do if you do it correctly. It's all about figuring out where's the best place to put money, so at the end result, you have the best chance to have the most at the end. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but if you look at people throughout history who have put their money in and just let it grow over time, they end up being off.
Yeah. And you believe really in that long-term sort of investment mentality, right? Put it in, maybe set it and forget it a little bit.
you want to pretend like the money is not even there.
I do that now, and it's still not there. I open my checking account. I'm like, am I pretending the money isn't there, or is the money not there?
I mean, that could be a good thing if you're still working and it motivates you to still work. At the same time, though, there comes a point in time where if you achieve a certain level of wealth, you have to remember, hey, you're not struggling anymore. It's okay to reap what you sowed and your fruits of your labor. At the same time, though, you don't want to be buying Lambos and jets unless you're at that level, which that's a completely different level to the game.
What about cocaine and hookers? Can I write those off?
What business are you in?
I live in Vegas. Does that tell you enough?
Are you doing everything in cash?
No, I'm not doing anything, folks. Don't write me. You know I don't do anything. I've been doing this for 16 years. This is my not my side gig. Or is my side gig?
You send me a message, I'll tell you otherwise.
I'll blink. I'll just one eye. Anyway, but people need to manage their finances. They need to get really smart on it. I see so much stupid shit nowadays. I can't believe the price of cars, like $150,000 for these pickup trucks and stuff people were spending. And now, since the market's tanking and the repos are rising, there was one gal I took out recently. And I think she said she was 30 grand upside down on her car. I was like, holy fuck! How do you dig out of that thing? But I mean, I suppose you double the payments or something. I don't know. But to be upside down that far, and I was like, what are you doing? And I see a lot of, videos like what you do on social media that, try and give people advice, and they do interviews with people, and you're just like, holy crap, I thought my life was a piece of shit. These guys, you'll see people that they go through a significant amount of money in a very short time. It's crazy.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos was doing an interview in the 90s. And the reporter asked him, "Hey man, what's up with the Honda Civic?"
I remember.
And he's like, "It's a great car. It's a great car." He's like, "You're worth X amount of money. Why are you driving? What's up with the Civic, Jeff?" He's like, "I like the car. It gets me to and from work." I mean, obviously, his values was every penny needs to be put into Amazon in order to create the convenience that its customers get to. All the jobs that it created. Obviously, some people hate on him for the amount of wealth that he has built. I mean, that's going to be anyone that gets to that level. No matter what level you're at, you're going to have people that love you and hate you, regardless of how much money is in your bank account. But I could say that, Amazon is a net positive because it also forces companies like Target and Walmart and Costco to step up its game. And competition is good. It's good for consumers. It keeps prices as fair as possible. Yeah. With no competition, then they're just going to inflate the prices even worse than what you're seeing now.
I mean, honestly, you can get a shitbox car. So I keep a shitbox car because I have 2 Huskies. And there's hair all over the car. It's a mess. I'm single, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. So when I date, I just rent nice luxury vehicles, like a BMW or an Audi or something. And I only date on weekends, so I only need it for the weekend. But I still don't spend probably more than, I don't know, $500 to $600 a month for a car. I mean, and I don't have to pay for the upkeep either. I just have an everyday shit box, that you got to service every now and then. But for the most part, it just kind of rides it out. And then I got beautiful cars that I can drive, but I never have to deal with any of the ownership of them. And I see these people paying $2,000 a month for 30 years for some 2021 Chevy Silverado, and you're just like, what are you doing, man? With your, I mean, maybe it's just weird for me because I come from the day where that's a mortgage payment. $2,400 used to be my mortgage payment.
Inflation is man-made. Yeah. It's a man-made concept, and it can be mastered by people as well.
See that for a car. What else do you guys do that maybe we haven't touched on or talked about that you want to tease out?
I mean, we look at every situation a little bit differently. Right now, we're a small company, and there's a lot of big faceless organizations out there that people give their money to because they trust it, because it's a big company. I would advise anyone, if you do business with a large company, especially a financial company, you can just Google the fines that they've paid. And you need to question, like, hey, do they really care?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good financial professionals out there that are independent, that want to do the right thing. But when it comes to competing from a marketing point of view, we can't outspend them at all. So all sorts of things, and ultimately ourselves to create a new market, and show people like, hey, supporting a small business is the American dream. Like, you have choices where to spend your money, and your money with a small business, if you become a customer and you develop a relationship with that small business, that owner, those people that work there, they'll know you, they'll know your name. They're going to really build a relationship and help create a customer experience like you can't get anywhere else. And I feel like that's where the disconnect is. Like, back in the day, I feel like people used to know each other when you go to the local restaurant and things like that. Now everything's chains, and there's not as much relationship building when you go out to your favorite restaurant, especially if it's a large franchise.
Yeah. Usually with restaurants, I usually try and get to know the waiters to get the best service. But it sounds like what you're talking about is at your firm, they can get more personalized service. Do they work usually with you directly or your staff, et cetera?
Yeah, they work with me directly. And I mean, ultimately, I would implore anyone to just check out a local independent firm or get a second opinion from something that is separate from a bank, because ultimately banks are banks. They're going to do what they want to do with your money, regardless of whether or not you have given them permission to or not.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me this last week.
What happened?
I logged into I got an email. I got like one of those warning things, your account's too low set on my account, so it never goes to zero, right? And this is on my Bank of America account. I'll throw America BOA onto the bus here. So I get an email saying, hey, man, your account balance is really low. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? And so I open up my account, and it's just 2 dashes on the amount that's in my account. And I'm like, and about to have a serious heart attack. And then I Google. Thankfully, I know enough to be like, okay, hold on, let's Google something. So I Googled, and Bank of America has this huge nationwide outage. And so they're like, hey, we'll get them fixed. But it's kind of weird because you're like, my money's gone right now. It's kind of what I'm feeling.
You ever see that South Park episode with the bank?
I think so. I can't remember.
I don't remember which character it was, but he walks into the bank, he makes a deposit, and then the banker goes, and it's gone. Would you like to make another deposit? And he's like, what do you mean it's gone? It's just gone. Do you want to deposit more?
2008. It's just gone. Yeah, I remember that episode. That was a great episode. So I was like, I was kind of like, this is kind of weird, but keep in mind, I have 2 credit cards with them, and boy, they didn't lose track of my credit card balance. They lost my money, but they didn't lose the money that I owed to them.
This is interesting because this is where banks can get in a lot of trouble, is because what people don't realize is if you run up your credit card, there's nothing stopping you from just filing bankruptcy and it gets wiped out.
But didn't they change the bankruptcy laws to include credit cards can't be wiped anymore, or partially wiped, or that they need permission?
I'm not sure exactly what the rules were, but I'm working with a client who had cancer like a few times and lots of medical bills and had to run up credit cards. We met with a bankruptcy attorney, and he said, yeah, we could totally wipe all of this out, especially with your story and everything. Obviously, you can't just be like, oh, I want to spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're in front of a judge, you have to present yourself. You have to plead your case. You're like, explain what happened. But, I mean, ultimately, I don't know all the rules. I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, but, I mean,
you'll find
there's a reason rich people do it.
Yeah,
they find ways to use the system to file for bankruptcy, clear their debts, and continue moving on.
I know it used to be you could wipe it all with pretty much just Chapter 7, but then there was supposed to be some rules they put in where it's harder to wipe them. So I guess you have to get the judge's approval now or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of debt and you see no way out, I mean, pay $500 for an attorney for an hourly rate and see what they have to say. Yeah. Maybe you meet with a couple of them, weigh your options, figure it out. And I mean, ultimately, if you have $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of debt, you can pay an attorney $5,000 to $10,000 to wipe it out. That's a $50,000, $60,000 you could save.
Yeah. Or you can raise money, starting your own website. You could try that.
You could. There's a market for everything.
That kind of is, actually. But no, people need to manage their money better. They need to be smarter, especially when you're hitting those higher echelons of wealth above 6 figures and stuff. You need to start really making tax moves, tax retention moves, I guess, maybe, or income retention moves to
It's all about learning the difference between avoidance and evasion.
Yeah, so you can tax avoidance, okay, tax evasion, bad. Don't do that, folks.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened to Will Smith early in his career. I think he owed like $1 million to the IRS, and he was like, "Wait, you got to pay taxes?
Wait, you got to pay taxes on this stuff?" Who was the Blade actor who's so amazing in Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes, yeah, he got nabbed in some sort of...
They will find you, and they will come get you, and they will garnish your wages. At the same time, though, you got to be able to know where to push the envelope, figure out what's gray, and ultimately, the more money that you can keep in your pocket, and the more money that you don't have to tip to the IRS, and you pay your fair share. Over the course of time, that could turn into a good amount of coin.
Yeah, at least a candy bar or two. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can retire on money like that. I mean, owning your own business gives you a lot of write-offs, doing different tax havens, different tax things that you can do under the law. That can make things work for you. But don't go the Wesley Snipes route. That's bad. 3 years in federal prison doesn't sound like fun to anybody.
He is Blade, so maybe he was all right.
He was probably all right, as long as he stays away from Diddy and R. Kelly there and the baby oil. So as we go out, give us your final pitch for how people can onboard with you, reach out, learn more of you, about you, seeing if you guys work together, see if they pass the no-nut rule and all that good stuff.
No jerk policy.
No jerk policy. No.
Yeah, I would just suggest check out our website. Check me out on YouTube. Plenty of videos out there. And you can see whether or not you feel like there's some synergy. And if there is, you can book an appointment just right on our website. You don't even have to call me. So it's 2024. Quick button, get it. Quick button, get advisor. Just like Rocket Mortgage. Quick button, get mortgage. Is that simple, right, Chris?
Something like that. Although, do we have to pay them a fee now that we use their name? Or we should charge them?
I think they owe you a couple shekels.
A couple bucks. A couple shekels. Joshua, it's been fun to have you on the show. Very insightful as well. Give us your .com so we go out so people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, just go www.369financial.com and you'll find us there.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Oh, it's a crazy place, the internet. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. That should have us out.